Are you seeing this? Woo! Welcome back to Teardown. I'm Daniel, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful episode of this axle swap series. Feels nice to have another goose landing in the shop. This big front axle is gonna make me happy. Alright folks, welcome back. This is the front end. Guess what's getting torn down today? I just went for a little drive, got some coffee. You should see the full video of that. I'll link it below. But this is getting torn down right now. So I'm just, without any further ado, I'm just gonna get started. That is a serious cotter here. Sway bar! Just in case you're wondering, yes, the tranny is supported by this jack right here, so we're all good to go. I just never really liked the idea of torsion bars and having to deal with them. It's not that I don't trust how they work, that's just a lot of force. Here we go. Woohoo! Putting. Oh. Got it. Upper control arm. Okay, let's figure out how to drop the axle. Ta-da-da-da! From what I can tell right away, there's 2 bolts here, and then 2 bolts on top of the diff over there, and then 2 bolts coming in from the side on the pumpkin there. So 6 total bolts hold this thing in, and they all look like 18mm. We were having fun before, we're having fun now. course, the two I can't get out with the impact are the ones that are gonna be the biggest bear to get out. And this should be loose. It doesn't seem loose. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I've got one bolt left and this thing is gonna fall out of here. Okay, here we go. Oh, that is not light. Holy shoot. It is getting hot in here, but we're gonna keep moving. Next, it's time to get the steering out, and then this thing will be basically gutted, and then we have to mock up the Dana 60 under here and see what we gotta cut. Yay! All right, here we go. Right. Okay, bumper's off. Everything else is off from underneath here. Oh man, are you seeing this? Woo! Oh damn. Welcome back everybody. It's another splendid day in the garage, and what we're gonna do today is start hacking some of these cross members out. And one thing I noticed right off the bat is this is the only cross member from here all the way back to the tranny cross member, which I'll also be removing, so we have to get a little bit smart here. If I cut all the cross members that basically exist in this thing all the way back to behind the tranny, these two horns on the frame, these two rails, they might do all kinds of stuff. So first thing I want to do before I ever even take a saw to this guy is put something up in here and tack weld it so it doesn't move around. And now, I maybe could have left the bumper on for this process, but these plates, and then there's just two little bolts up here for the bumper, it's easy to bend that. There's really not a lot of structural strength there, so the bumper wouldn't really have done well for this. So I'm going to find a tube, see if this is wide enough. No, not quite wide enough. Never mind. So I'm gonna just dig around the shop, look for a spare piece of tubing that I can run up in here and tack weld. We'll tack weld it, and then we'll move on to actually just slicing this thing up. It's gonna be a good one. Okay, now that axle's out of here, you can kind of see a lot more clearly this cross member. You can see the oil pan up in here, a lot of the extra tidbits from the IFS suspension. Basically, we're gonna knock this whole cross member out, knock all this IFS junk off of here, and then go about our day mocking the axle up and finding out exactly where it can sit within this vehicle. We shouldn't need much to get this to stay stable. And here's a tube that I just found laying about. And you can see I've got room in there for this tube, but not really much else because I'm kind of going up against the cooler lines right now in the front. So I want to get it on the front side of this weld if I can. Also, it's Memorial Day, May 31st, so happy Memorial Day, and thank you everyone for your service. It's in the military. And a big thank you to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you for giving us the freedom to do this. Thank you for giving us the freedom to work on our cars, to build rock crawlers, to live our lives, to be happy with our families. It means a lot. It doesn't go unnoticed. We're ready for this instrument of death. So if I were to cut this way, the frame could very easily squeeze or pull while I'm cutting and grab this blade. But if I cut across here, which would be better anyway because I'd cut more off, it's less likely to be able to rotate this up into here. So it'll be less likely to squeeze the blade, will be less likely to die. So that's my plan. Just cut right across here, right up to this pipe. That wasn't the gentle dismount I was looking for, but hey, we're there. Good 3/4 of an inch off the oil pan. So that's a win.
Pretty solid.
Take that to the bank. Well, how do you do, folks? We're back underneath the Dreadnought here. And you can see this is the link we've been working on. You saw how that went all together. It went together pretty good. So what's next? Well, this link is mocked up on the frame here. That is how it fits on the frame, but what we're gonna do is move it forward. I can't put it here now because this cross member is here. But I've got a cross member that ties into these mounts, and I'll show you that in a minute. With this here, I can do a cross member that ties into this and drops out so I can take the tranny out. But also with that cross member across there, this nice beefy cross member that will be part of this mount. It'll be stronger, a better point to launch off for a skid plate for the full thing. And it'll all be tied into my links, so it'll be structurally nice. So, step one, take this cross member out and grind all of the plate work for it completely out. and we're gonna have to dump the rest of the exhaust too. So step one is a lot of cutting, but here we go. Okay, tranny supported. Now when I drop this cross member, it shouldn't move at all. I can drop this cross member, mock up the next cross member, weld in the plate that attaches to the tranny mount, all without losing the placement of the motor. It's July, it's like 100 degrees and I'm wearing all this stuff and there's no AC in the shop, just a swamp cooler you can probably hear. But I wanted to show you that I've taken this portion of the exhaust out now because my cross member will live here and the exhaust is right in the way. And I'm planning my upper link to go this way, so it is just time for it to go. All right, I've just grinded away the last like 6 hours on just all that solid axle or the independent bracketry and stuff that was on the frame and that one cross member. But I've been dreading doing this this grinding forever, especially in the heat. So once I was in it, I just sat down and just got through it. So before I go hog wild and just start welding stuff onto the frame, I want to explain what these mounts do and how they work. So this is the main piece of the mount, and it's got a lot going on, as you can see. I've got this main zigzag bent piece, then this inner piece that's bent once, and then a skid plate that ties the whole thing together and kind of fills up this gap in the back. So if you are the front of the vehicle, this will be the passenger side. And so what's going to happen is, this is an inner fish plate here. You can see it kind of matches the form factor out here. This inner fish plate will weld in here, and now you can see the frame channel goes here. So we'll have it like that. So this hangs down below the frame, and you can see that it has a 10-degree angle outward. And that is because I wanted to have the turning radius with those big old 43s, and if I had had this piece here on the frame, I would have had to keep my links straight, and then B, the tire would have run right into it, even with the lousy Super Duty turning radius. So stepping this inside of the frame and angling it outward, especially because the Durango frame is so wide, helps get me the turning radius I need. Next, this guy will slip right into this hole, and what this does is structurally ties this piece into the fish plate, into the frame. Because before you could just see it's like these spindly little bent guys, and maybe there's a little bit more boxing in going on back here. But this guy really gives some solid structure and solid force transfer from this plate, where most of the forces will be, into this giant 1/4-inch box tubing, into this fish plate, into the frame. And then on the end of this guy, I will have this. What this is a combination plate. Its first task, it welds right on here, and it's a flange to mount the removable tranny cross member. You can see the 4 bolts here. I have another plate here that will bolt to the tranny cross member, and then 1/2-inch bolts will hold them together. I can undo the 1/2-inch bolts from here, slide the tranny cross member out, and then the tranny can just drop right out from between these mounts, which will be permanent. Then these 3 holes are my adjustments, 1.5-inch different, for my upper link to really dial in the anti-dive. Last but not least, I've got this plate, which is the other half of the upper links, and it weaves right into this plate and loops around this big piece of box tubing, and now we've got something like this. And you can kind of see how this whole structure bolts, or you can kind of see how that whole structure goes together now. So that's what's going on. It's pretty complicated, which is why I wanted to kind of show it off here before I start welding it on. But once it's on, of course, you'll see it. So now that that's happening, I'm going to start mocking this stuff up on the frame. Welcome back to Aired Down. We're underneath the Dreadnought again today. And you can see I've got my links just pushed up in here. Step 1 for me I'm going to tack weld these pieces of box tubing to these fish plates. Then I'm going to just take the fish plate and box tubing portion out, fully weld the box tubing, because that'll be my only option to get back in here behind it, and then mock it up in here again, tack weld this piece to this piece, and then take the whole thing out, fully weld it, and then hopefully it just slips back onto the frame, and then I'll weld it, I'll probably tack weld it onto the frame until I know I'm 100% happy with where everything's at. This thing's acting kind of weird today. Yeah, the welder's acting a little funny today. I don't know what that's all about. Alright folks, here we are at the welding table. This welder has been acting a little weird lately, so I put a new workpiece clamp on it and I put a new end on it. And so far, still nothing seems to be making it super happy. So there's a chance that I might be switching out welders for something else before this whole job is over. We'll see. Also, did you see our beautiful CNA MIG gun holder? You can buy that little gem on Amazon. Just type in MIG gun holder CNA, or you can buy it from our website, cnafabrication.com. Yeah, I think something's wrong here. I don't know what's wrong, but something's wrong. GoPro, stop recording. Okay, after much ado, like, I'll tell you how much ado I had to do. So, my welder, this blue one, the Miller, had like 500 PSI left in this gas bottle. So, I started having issues. I put new wire in it. I put a new nozzle and gas nozzle on the inside, and after that it started to weld really weird. So I just went out, got wire that I've used before that I know works, got a new bottle of gas. I was able to finally get some decent welds, but I also had to turn the heat way up and turn the wire speed way down just to get the heat into it. And then I stopped even running a pattern too, just so I could get that heat to soak in. But you can see the haze now on either side of the weld. It's really hot, but the haze on either side of the weld is good. I've got this haze penetrating all the way through this 1/4-inch plate. It's noon. I got here at 9, it's noon, and this is all I've done. So I'm a little disappointed, but I'm glad that I took the time to cut the tubing off, fix everything, because I mean, I don't want to kill my family out driving the Dreadnought, you know. The last thing I want to do is be mid-Rubicon and my front suspension falls out. So this is all good stuff to do. I thoroughly inspected all the welds in the back. They all look great, and that was before the wire switch. So the only thing I've welded with the new wire are these mounts, and I welded them open corner, and I welded them hella hot. So they all look good too. They've got good haze, good penetration. So we're good. We're not gonna die. And we're set up, and now we can actually start making moves. Okay, I've got this welded piece now mocked up into this welded piece. Two separate welded pieces that are gonna get tacked together right now. I've got them right where I want them. They fit nice and good. Now let's take it to the bench and weld her up. think we're in really good shape, and that is one unit complete. Alright, I got a bunch of meaty tacks in here. This sucker should be ready to hold some weight. If it broke off, I'd be so sad. But yep, here it is. We've got the freaking frame side of the front links finally welded or tacked on. And we've got them fully welded so they're nice and ready to party. Oh, it feels good. Working on now is this tranny cross member. I'm going to get the tranny mount figured out today and weld it up. And it's one less thing in the way. And you just saw me making this plate here. This guy goes right in here. You can see it kind of straddles around this metal here. And then got me some flange nuts. Some metric ones, so they were $1,000 each, you know. And then our box tubing will just run right here, right in between it. You can see I've got these plates bolted in here. These plates are just bolted to these plates, and that way I can undo all of these plates and just rip my tranny cross member back out of this thing. Hopefully the flat allows me to just yank it out without any problems. But then again, here's my box tubing. Well, looks like I got a little bit of hangy down here. I was not expecting that. I was expecting this to sit up a little higher. Bent these to 45, and I'm thinking I'm going to take them to 60. Okay, I bent these to 60 degrees. They come really close to touching this metal up here, and there's a lot of extra, so I'll just shave it off real quick. No big deal. But this fits all the way up in there with a little room to weld. So if I weld it with it onto this mess, it'll be less likely to warp up since everything's holding it tight. Look at this, boys and girls. The tranny cross member is in and looking fine. And I even cut this mount back a little bit. I just took two little angled swaths out of it. All the bolts go in just fine. These plates did end up warping a tiny bit, but just a little bit of torque on these nuts and bolts, and it flattened right out. And to get it right into its spot, all I did was take our dead blow and just really lightly, and it walked right up into position. The Durango now has its tranny supported by the custom fab work. So we're looking pretty good here now. Pretty excited about that. So now it's time to finish the front axle widening, and it's time to weld some link mounts to that and then get these uppers and lowers onto the axle. Then it's track bar, shocks, and steering, and this thing will be at least able to move around. So I think I'll probably call it here, and I'll probably just do an outro out there. folks, it's Daniel with Teardown, and I just wanted to give kind of a long outro. I know that it's been a long time since I put out a video, and if you'll notice, a lot of the filming that I did was 6 months ago at this point or more, maybe 7. And you know, I kind of got wrapped up with my identity into this. You know, my identity was rock crawling, my identity was custom fab, and my identity became putting videos on YouTube and being on Instagram. And over this summer I realized my identity is not those things. That's just a hobby. And so I don't want to let YouTube or rock crawling or Instagram or anything like that rule my life. Plain and simple, I had forgotten who I was, and first and foremost, who I am is a child of God. I'm a Christian, I'm a Christ follower, I believe in Jesus, I believe He died for my sins, all that, and that is my most important identity. And throughout the last few months, I've come back to that, and it's been really sweet, and I've been closer to my family, and I've loved my wife more, and I would encourage any of you out there that are so wrapped up in crawling or so wrapped up in Instagram or the social life, social media life, pay more attention to your family and your kids, the things you don't have forever, the most precious things in your life. And I've been more rewarded these last few months than ever before, and it's worth more than anything that YouTube or Instagram can give me. And I know this is like touchy-feely, but I wanted to let you know that if you're feeling hopeless right now, or if you are feeling like you're just doing the runaround, or you're beat up or worn down, maybe the answer is in your family, and for sure the answer is hope, and hope is always found in Christ. And give it a shot. I mean, if you don't believe that could be possible, then send up a quick little thing and say, hey, if there's somebody out there, show me. You got nothing to lose and you got everything to gain. So this is Teardown. Thank you for coming along on this axle swap with me. I hope that you really like this video, and there's still more to come. I'm not quitting. I'm just putting it on a little less importance, if that makes sense. Peace out. Go rock crawling. Bye-bye.